Yeah, meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. Okay. Lata ma'am,
Yes, sir.
please record it on your local hard disk or on the.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Siddharth is joining.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Yeah. Make Siddharth. Please make him the co-host.
Even Sajid sir, please make Sajid sir as the co-host.
Yeah, he's sent. Shall we start? It's already 4:30.
Yeah, we will start.
Yeah, they are made the co-host. Yes.
Shall we start? It's already 4:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sai Kirtana is unable to unmute, it seems. Lavanya, can you?
Been made the co-host.
Yes, sir.
If you find it difficult, maybe the ones who speak last, you can make them the co-host at a later date.
Already 4:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead. I think please go ahead.
Is unable to
No, Sai
unmute,
Kirtana
it
is made
seems.
the co-host. Yes, you
Lavanya, can
start.
you?
Yeah.
Been made the co-host.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I can unmute myself.
Yeah,
Thank you.
please go ahead. If you find it difficult, maybe the
I think the recording is playing or.
make them the co-host at a later date.
Ah,
Yeah, I think please go ahead.
is unable to unmute, it seems.
Yeah, the YouTube and everything.
Oh,
Yeah. You want me to stop this?
Unmute myself.
Yeah,
no.
please go ahead. If you find it difficult, maybe the
I think the recording is playing or.
make them the co-host at a later date.
Yeah, the YouTube and everything.
Oh.
Now it is clear. Now it is clear. Please go ahead.
Stop. Shall we start, sir?
Please start.
Yes, Sai Kirtana.
Please go ahead, Sai Kirtana.
Sai?
When I start my recording, there is a echo.
I mean, you please record, ma'am. It is taken care of.
I'll start recording, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah, I have started recording.
Sai Kirtana?
Yeah, please
Yeah,
go
you
ahead.
can. On your
For the
video?
things we have to learn. It is on, ma'am.
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
Yes. For the things we have to learn before we can do them. We learn by doing them, said by Aristotle. A very warm good evening and happy Independence Day to one and all. I am Sai Kirtana, a prime ambassador of MIM. It is my pleasure to be the host for today's event. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you to the launch of Prime Pedagogy, a transformational and participatory learning. It is a unique and exclusive way of imparting management skills to MBA students. Today is the 74th Independence Day celebration. It's nice to virtually meet all of you on this happy occasion. a day which reminds us about our freedom fighters, their contribution and sacrifices. We have with us today the eminent people from the industry, Mr. Siddharth, Mr. Ganesh Shanoy, Mr. Nikhil Indrasenan, Mr. Sainath, and Mr. Srijit Nair. The pedagogy will be presented by these industry experts who are closely associated with our institution. Their involvement has gone a long way in enriching this prime pedagogy. I extend a cordial welcome to the management, audience, faculty members, and the prime ambassadors of MIM. To begin the program, may I invite Mohammed Bilal, student of MIM, to invoke the Almighty with a prayer.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. Walaikum salam.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون. هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. Thank you.
Thank you, Bilal. I would now request Mrs. Shabina Shah, Assistant Professor of MIM, to give a brief speech about the Miyasi Institute of Management.
Good evening and a happy Independence Day to all. It gives me immense pleasure and utmost pride to introduce Miyasi Institute of Management to you today. MIM is how Miyasi Institute of Management is popularly known as among the B schools in Chennai. Was established in the year 1947 and it is one of the prestigious institutions of the Miyasi Group. MIM is also one of the first B schools to offer MBA program among the affiliated colleges of the University of Madras. It is also the first to have an exclusive research center offering doctorate program in management. We at MIM offer a holistic, innovative, and transformational learning to students, which familiarizes them with the Indian and global business environment. As an old proverb dating back to 14th century states that the proof of the pudding lies in the eating, as a proof of our academic excellence, our students have been securing university gold medals consistently since the year 2003. Apart from training our students to excel in university curriculum, we ensure they are industry ready too. As many of us know, the most important technical skills required in the job market today are analytical skills. We train our students in a range of analytics courses through our value-added courses program. We at MIM ensure that our students acquire the right skill set to meet the industry requirements. So we have partnered with the industry experts to train our students in soft skills and to develop their overall personality. Our efforts have resulted in impressive placement records over the last few years. Our students have been placed in top companies like Citibank, Amazon, Zoho, Ernst & Young, Deloitte, HDFC Bank, Ernst & Young, Global Logistics, to name a few. Speaking of the alumni, we have registered alumni association and our alumni are very vibrant and have been very placed well in their business, whether it is in corporate world or in entrepreneurship. They are very vibrant and are always ready to support us in all our endeavors. MIM had always had a quest to find innovative ways of imparting quality education to its students. And this quest has found a right match in the MIM-PRIME pedagogy. This transformational pedagogy has been fine-tuned and improved over the last 3 years. And today we are officially launching the fruit of our hard efforts. To put it in simple words, just like how a medical college has a hospital attached to it for practical training to its students, we have this participatory learning program where our students are provided opportunities to work in business organization-like setting inside our college. The industry experts who are present today among us will take you through the MIM-PRIME pedagogy. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Participatory learning and practical application is a process in which students take part in activities and projects, learning to understand and solve problems at the individual level and at the team level. They learn to collaborate effectively and respectfully with diverse teams, exercising flexibility and a willingness to make compromises to accomplish a common goal. And now, with much pleasure, I would like to introduce Mr. Siddharth. Mr. Siddharth is the Chief Design Officer at ACES, a senior leader in brand strategy and communication with over 20 years of experience. He is passionate about customer experience, business narratives, and brand design. I now request Mr. Siddharth to share his ideas on our MIM-PRIME, a transformational and participatory learning.
Thank you so much. Are you able to hear me?
Very much, very much, very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me here this evening. And it's always great to reach out to educational institutions. Of course, it's been a while since I sat in an educational institution. And there's a reason I say this is that, we've started wondering about the role of educational institutions as we hire candidates every day. So I really wanted to share some experiences that I've been having over the last few years, bringing in candidates into the workforce. And, I'm hoping that, we will probably, with mutual discussion, be able to come to a definition of what are the current needs in the industry. It's interesting that, the software background that I come from is interesting because, like Mark Andreessen said, software is eating the world. There's hardly any area where software doesn't make a difference. And almost all of us in this forum have heard of digital transformation, right? In one way or the other. So digital transformation is everywhere. And, I think the educational institutions are not exempt from this kind of transformation. So one of the things that we've observed in the software industry, and in the software industry is primarily a service industry. Unless you're a product industry, it is in the service of other industries. And we get almost a ringside view of the business decisions that go into various industries, including educational institutions. And because software has made so many things possible, including this forum, including this virtual event itself, it's made so many things possible that it is hard not to revisit our, existing thinking on, how our business functions. When I say business, I don't mean it in the commercial sense, but as an enterprise which has a set of rules. Almost every domain has its set of rules. The educational institution also has had its set of rules. And now with the advent of software, almost everything is being called to question. That is what the policymakers, the educationists, and the students are really grappling with today. Are we ready for the new workforce? And it's being called as Industry 4.0, which means you can work from anywhere, do anything, and there is a global village and so on. Are we ready for the workforce Industry 4.0, which is what is being called? And the role of education, I would say, is sort of become continuous. So in industry terms, we are looking for people who can learn, unlearn, and relearn at a rapid rate. Constantly learn, unlearn, and relearn. So it is not what it used to be even 15 years ago. 15 years ago, you did something, you were awarded a degree, and you pretty much got into a job that was connected to the degree or not so connected to the degree. But then, your job was pretty fixed. But today, the job market demands that you learn, unlearn, and relearn at a rapid rate, which means the learning is something that you do all your life. It is not like, the first 25 years of your life or 22 years of your life you learn, and after that you stop learning. In my company, for example, I think at least 20% of the time and right up to 40% of the time, depending on your profile, is put away for research. But what we're really doing there is learning. So, which means, what you did, let's say the last year, is obsolete this year. So, you could be in the position of a developer, you could be in the position of an analyst. A business analyst would typically have an MBA degree like yours, some kind of domain expert and so on. These people have to constantly relearn. Can you believe that 20 to 40% of our time, work time, is devoted to unlearning and relearning? So learning has become a lifelong necessity, and what your educational institute has to teach you, it has to endow you, is a capacity to do this. Not so much curriculum, but as the ability to learn and relearn. That's the training that I think an institution of today needs to have. That is one trend. Second is, the curriculum itself, because so much is changing, because software is going and this digital transformation is changing everything that, from agriculture to astronomy, almost everything is getting, there is an upheaval in almost everything. Learning modules have also become shorter. It is not like, syllabus apart. So the syllabus has merely become some kind of accreditation that you are a literate person and so on. But the learning, because it's become constant, has also broken down into what is emerging as micro courses and micro degrees. You must have seen some of these. I mean, you must have come across these terms yourself in Udemy and Coursera and so on and all that. You will know that MIT has open sourced its courseware, and if you're browsing the internet, you will also know that the institution is no longer defined by campus space, or it is not defined by manicured lawns or the work hall. It is not a physical place anymore, but a place that you go back to constantly learn. Now that idea is also being broken by all these micro degrees and micro courses, and so I think we need to take a long, hard look at what do we mean by calling ourselves an educational institution. I think education and your relationship to your educational institution is not going to be alma mater, but continuous, which means, it's not going to be that, you passed out of this school, you passed out of this college, and now you have a degree and you only go to college reunions. No, I think it is going to be lifelong. You will begin to rely upon your educational institution for a sort of a sense of not just a sentimental belonging, but also you look up to them for this very thing, not knowledge, but your learning skills. So I'm trying to make a distinction here. You can pick up any subject that you want on the internet today, but learning skills itself, right? Perhaps even soft skills, like somebody mentioned, the soft skills about human skills, interpersonal skills, negotiation skills. These are skills that are, not easy to learn. And you'll be surprised how much of this is actually required in the work environment today. I mean, the domain knowledge itself is, yes, important, but what is more important is, trying to get things done, particularly in remote environments like this. So your interpersonal relationship, your soft skills, your ability to do some meta thinking, can you think about your own thinking, and so on. These skills are becoming more and more important. So in that sense, maybe the role of the university, as I'm thinking, is also about, giving you some core concepts, but allowing you to specialize, in your domain as and when the need arises. So those are things that we need to consider, because otherwise it's going to be cookie cutter. So, the earlier model of the university was almost like making bread. You just made bread and, shipped it out. Today, I think it's going to be more of a club, which means, you come back to it because, you have people and you want to connect to them all the time, and you want to, discuss your problems with them, and, they discuss your problems with you. It's almost like counseling all the time, lifelong counseling. That's what institutes are going to be. That's how I see it. And because I think almost everything else you can pick up outside. So this is something that we need to talk about. What do we mean by saying we are a university or a college today? So, again, all these questions are up for question, but I just wanted to give you a backdrop. The next thing I do want to touch upon is data literacy. So data literacy, I would call it data literacy because I think it is a skill that you need to develop irrespective of what you're specializing in. It doesn't matter whether you're a commerce student or a doctor or an engineer or what have you, or a management thinker or what have you. Data literacy is a special form of knowledge gathering itself. If you can read and write, that is one kind of literacy. But data literacy itself is important, and if you're taking that seriously, I applaud you for that, because I think it's critical that students today know to interpret data. Because it's practically everywhere. So analytics, yes, it's important. There is no area where analytics are not important, but remember, and we see this on a daily basis, your analytics, your ability to read the data is only as good as your understanding of the domain. So even if you're a statistician, it is not just about statistics, but it calls for domain knowledge. So which means I would say today, the most important trait I would expect from a candidate, if I chose him or her today, would be curiosity, not a degree. Curiosity. Is this person able to look, if I give her the problem or if I give him the problem, is this person, curious enough to look at the problem, do research and come back and solve the problem. So you need to have this, get your fingers dirty in the problem. And yes, your pedagogical framework needs to be able to give you an ability to get your fingers dirty in the game. And, it's very important that we do that. So data literacy and getting your skin in the game or getting your fingers dirty is really important. And that's what gives you the reality check. Because the gap today can be very wide. Today, and because of the market, and the market's themselves are so dynamic, today you are expected to perform from the word get-go. And that determines your career opportunities and your career success also. If you are not somehow ready from the word get-go, you tend to left behind. So there are two things that will help you move forward in your job. One is to have had some real life experience and to have developed this very important skill of learning, unlearning, and relearning. And maybe I'll add in a third. Are you curious? So this, I think, is pretty important, and your institutions will need to sort of help you hone these skills as well. And some of you might have heard of a maker culture. Like this nice example that just came up. That are you a doctor if you never have been in a hospital? So we should be extending that question to more and more domains. I feel. Are you an engineer if you've never built something? Trust me, I've had computer science engineers who've told me that they've never coded. I mean, fresh out of college. I mean, who've had laptops in their homes, but who've never tried to build anything. It beats me. I don't know whether, you can even consider that person for a job, So this is becoming what is increasingly called a maker culture, which means somewhere down the line, I think we've gotten too theoretical, and it's important to sort of, go back to our institutions and be able to, almost everything is a lab. There should be a management lab. Like you have hospitals, you have engineering lab, management lab, commerce lab. There should be labs for everything so that you get your sort of apply your concepts to the real world and see if they're working. Otherwise, I think you're going to be left behind. So if we are touching on all of these in this, I do believe that, we are beginning to discuss all of this in PRIME, in the pedagogical framework that we're discussing. And I'm very, very happy to be a part of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Siddharth, for sharing your valuable ideas and emphasizing the skills required for the students in today's world. And thank you for your feedback on a new pedagogy.
Any questions there? You can take any questions, one or two questions you can take. Please go ahead. Please go ahead. Not a problem.
Sir, I'll continue.
Yeah, continue.
Hands-on research experience teaches the importance of data analysis and interpretation, enabling critical thinking and problem-solving capabilities. At MIM, research experiences for students are designed to stimulate their imagination and instill commitment to evidence-based practice and the generation of new knowledge. Moving right along, it is now my pleasure to introduce Mr. Ganesh Shenoy. Mr. Ganesh is an engineer in computer science, a postgraduate in marketing, has a fellowship in human resource management from Carleton Advanced Management Institute, USA. He is an ICF certified coach, a certified mentor, and a certified international trainer and facilitator with over 30 years of diverse experience. I now request Mr. Ganesh to present the element R of our prime pedagogy, which represents research and intelligence.
Uh, Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Siddharth, for setting the context and also talking about the prime pedagogy at MIM. I'll try and focus on research and intelligence, which is the R, which is the second letter in the prime pedagogy as such. I feel in a globalized world and with the Industrial Revolution 4.0, the significance and the role of research in education for creating knowledge-driven growth and growth-based innovation is the need of the heart for sustainability and development. It is true for industry, it's true for institutions, it's true for the society, it's true for the community as well, right? So the quest for knowledge is the basic principle behind research. So irrespective whether it is scientific research or engineering research or empirical research or database research or whatever kind of research that people do in anywhere in the world. The quality of research, the quality of research work directly translates to the quality of teaching and learning in the classroom. So if research is not embedded as a part of learning, the effectiveness of learning is something that will get impacted. So the students will immensely get benefited if we add research and intelligence and embed it as a part of the pedagogy in enabling students to learn and learn effectively. And whatever Mr. Siddharth talked about in terms of help them learn, unlearn, as well as relearn so that they can impact the industry, they can also impact the country at large. Globally, I think it's a well accepted fact that research has contributed enormously to find solutions to many problems faced in the industry as well as in the society. I don't need to talk about what we're going through right now. So there's enormous amount of research which has been happening in the pharma industry, specifically to bring out a vaccine and things like that. So there is research which is contributing to the society as well as to the world as well, right? And to the business in the industry, research is a very key element. A lot of companies invest heavily in terms of research as well. And the need for sharing knowledge between institutions and the industry has become increasingly evident with the Industry 4.0. And it is very important for both of the industry as well as the institutions to collaborate to ensure that the interdisciplinary fields that are there, both in the business world as well as in the academic world, are in a position to collaborate so that we can consistently innovate and adapt better and stay relevant in the digital world as such, right? So it's something which is very, very important for both from the industry as well as the institution. With the Industrial Revolution 4.0, the industry too is adopting what we call as the 3 A's. The 3 A's are artificial intelligence, analytics, and automation. And they're all investing heavily and also adopting to the 3 A's in a very big way. And we at MIM see a huge potential for collaboration with the industry to leverage the collective intelligence and focus on research to build capabilities and create deployable talent, learning and the development experience for our students so that they are industry revolution or IR 4.0 skills ready. And that's an important element of the pedagogy itself. So with research and intelligence, we will be imparting a lot of IR 4.0 skills, which really makes the students highly employable by the industry. Our prime pedagogy is definitely an integrated approach to develop industry IR 4.0 skills with research and participatory learning, industry collaboration, mentoring, and teaching excellence. So for any management institute, it's very, very important for them to stay relevant. To stay relevant, I think pedagogy is the crux of any management institute typically. Yeah. So research and intelligence being a key part of the pedagogy at MIM, I believe that we are going to be imparting the future ready skills that all students require to become employable and can actually impact the industry and the external environment and the world. Thank you very much.
Ganesh, if you could just stay and take some few questions
Sure.
from our students, it would be great because we have been talking about research, and perhaps India is the only country which produces the maximum number of doctorates, in any given year at any given point of time.
Right.
So how relevant is that research, and how long is that research for a research that can be actually done in, a month or a 2 month or a 3 month? That is very, very important. Today, the dynamics of business are changing, the requirements are changing. So you can't have a research going in for 3 years, because by the time you complete your research in 3 years, I think you'll have to do another research to do that particular research. So that is how it has been. And we also have done a small research among ourselves, and we found out that yes, there is a huge disconnect between what the industry wants and what we teach. Okay, of course we cannot go into the details and then talk about but a research at least a macro level is something which we should be doing on a regular basis, and that's what we do. So if you can ask any of our prime ambassadors to just pitch in and talk about what research they have done, it would be great for the audience who are present here. Prime ambassadors, anyone who can come in and then pose a question to Mr. Shenoy or Mr. or Siddharth, it would be great. So that now is an opportunity. I think we will not get such an opportunity to bring all the stalwarts on one platform at a short notice, especially at this particular point of time. Any questions, please? Anyone for that matter from the participants? If the MPs are there, fine. Otherwise, because we have been doing research, we are doing participatory learning, and we are just replicating an organization within Miyasi Institute of Management. Okay. So, yeah. Who's this? Yeah. Please go ahead and ask in case you have any questions.
Participants can unmute. Yeah, you are allowed to unmute.
So good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Go ahead.
So I'm Riaz Ahmad. I'm a prime ambassador of MIM, and I'm a part of research and intelligence team.
Right.
So actually, we have done 4 researchers, 2 primary researchers and 2 secondary researchers. Primary researchers are student perceptions on MIM for batch 2018 and 20 and batch 2019 to 21. And the secondary researchers are we have taken 20 B schools all over India. For that, we have done web content analysis and social media analysis. So my question is, we have done this in a short span of time.
Right.
Like we have taken 20 B schools around India and done web content analysis. We have done this in a period of 2 weeks.
Right.
Do you think how effective it will be there for us to change? We have found out some changes which have to be done to our web pages or social media. Actually, it will change frequently, right?
Okay.
How effective it would be there? We need to know how often we have to do researches for this web pages and social media.
Okay. So yeah. So can I rephrase your question in terms of whatever your question is? You are asking me how frequently the research or the market research that you have done. Specifically, one is your own target segment analysis, typically the students who actually are a part of alumni of MIM and the current set of students as well. And you also looked at the other management institutes who are primarily imparting education in our country across This is what we are looked at. See, fundamentally, let me tell you, learning is a continuous journey. Yeah, market research also is continuous journey, and there is something that is relevant today, it may not be relevant tomorrow, right? So on a continuous basis, it's important for us to do these kind of researches. And again, generally we use what we call as survey tools. The survey tools can be like multiple, and you can also do some dipstick surveys, which is smaller sample sizes. There can be slightly uh, bigger survey sizes where the sample sizes could be a lot bigger or whatever it is. And typically, if you look at the kind of research that you have done, one is you would have covered the student population of a particular year, the previous year and the current year of MI. Maybe that's the population that you're looking at. So you might have already got responses. So you may possibly be led to a certain facts that you have to work on and ensure that a change is brought about. But if you're looking at a sample size of the survey that you have done on the management institutes, there are little about 4,000 management institutes across the country, right? And doing a survey with about 20, it's not a big sample size, right? So generally in market research, we recommend that you should at least have a sample size of anywhere between 10 to 30%, right? And if you don't have a sample size of 20 to 30%, then you will not be in a position to extrapolate the data to whatever you're looking for in terms of facts and ideas specifically to take action on, right? And if you're looking at even doing any kind of benchmarking, yeah, it is ideal for you to get a sample size of at least about 10 to 30%. And that's fundamentals of market research as such. Again, it possibly like gave you some kind of an idea at the high level in terms of how do you compare yourself with the other management institutes in the country. Yeah, so it also depends on what tier of management institutes have you compared yourself with, right? So these are some aspects which are very important for you to define much before you get into the research itself. Otherwise, the research may not lead you to the kind of actions that you have to take, because every research definitely needs to be conclusive. Yeah, so the conclusion from the research has to lead you to a set of actions which will really benefit the institution. So if the research is thought through in a right way and conceptualized well, and you define what your target segment is and also look at the sample size, and then you can extrapolate the data and look at what kind of outcome the research is leading you to, so that the actions can be like taken, which will really give benefit to the organization as well as the institution in terms of whatever actions that you take on the results that you see, right? And again, there are a lot of tools that are available across the chain, starting from planning to execution to collection of data to analysis and things like that. So there are data analytic tools that are available. There are statistical and analytical models that are available, which can lead you to the kind of outcomes that you're looking at. So this is primarily what gets covered as a part of the curriculum at MIM as well, where we are talking about data analytics being embedded as a part of the learning pedagogy. Yeah, I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah, sir. Thank you so much.
That's one question posted in the chat box from Anita Rola. She has asked the question is that, how do you develop negotiating skills in students, that is among students?
Let us take questions pertaining to research, because here we are emphasizing a lot on our pedagogy. The very purpose of having a research is that we are perhaps the only institute under a University of Madras to have a research center. Okay, so and we felt after getting the research center that research is not about awarding degrees, but letting know or knowing everyone that research is essential for anything and everything, at least as far as the pedagogy is concerned, as far as the learning is concerned, as far as the deployment of learning is concerned. I think Ganesh made some very good points. Uh, we have done our own research with our own set of limitations, but this is perhaps only going to improve. So,
well, I had something to add.
Fantastic. I wanted Siddharth to come and do, because he's
okay.
from a different domain, but
Yeah.
on a daily basis. That is what we want to hear.
Yeah.
Please.
So I think I will narrate what we do in marketing, and maybe that will probably sort of answer this question in a big way. I completely agree to what Anish is saying about this being an ongoing process, but what marketers do is to practice what is called social listening, which means you are constantly sort of tuned into social media to see where you stand versus your competitors. Today, you have a spectrum of tools from free tools to paid tools. But I think the skill that you have to develop is social listening, which means, so there are two kinds of, two broad ways of looking at your research. One is you have a hypothesis and you are uh, looking to verify if this hypothesis is true or not in the market. That is one kind of research. Another kind of research, and we do this a lot in design, is to sort of open-ended research. I don't know what I'm looking for, but let me see what looks interesting. I think you have to look for both, which means if you are tracking, let's say, 20 top institutes in the country, one is to see, am I doing this in the right manner? And this is something that marketers do all the time. It doesn't matter what you're selling. You could be selling a bar of soap or you could be selling a car. But the point is you're constantly tracking your competitors to see whether you're still relevant, irrelevant, are the customer's taste changing. In this case, your customers are, you're a platform, right? You have you're a two-sided platform. You have, on the one hand, students choosing you over another institute, and then you have the employers choosing you over another employer. So the dynamics of this closely resembles, what marketers do all the time. And so I think it's important to look at both kinds of research. One is to verify your hypothesis, but at the same time also look for signs of novelty or signs of, is this something new that I have to learn, and so on. So that's the broad overview. So I don't think this is really the forum for getting into actual research tools per se, but I think you need to look at market research in some sense as a very continuous process. It is not, yes, it's a good number to start, like Dinesh just said. Obviously, the sample size has to be bigger, but I think the point is to develop a certain, what does one say, a certain attitude towards research that's sort of ongoing. That's what you need to do. So your research really never stops. So I agree with him. Your research really never stops.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to say.
It's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
Thanks, Siddharth, for pitching in. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yes, Sai Kirtana, if there are no questions, we'll...
One minute, sir. 1 minute, sir.
Riyaz, yeah. Who's this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Riyaz, sir.
Riyaz, we will take your questions. We'll park your questions. We will proceed, and then if you have time, we will take it at the end of the session.
Okay.
Yes, Sai Kirtana, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Ganesh, for that knowledgeable speech and telling us how important a research work is. Important the research work is. And thank you, Siddharth sir, for sharing your ideas about market research. And thank you, Riyaz, for that wonderful interaction. A broad and deep engagement with industry gives the students an insight on the functioning of the industry and enables them to develop conceptual and practical knowledge. Industry collaboration and connect provides the opportunity to transform theoretical ideas into practical projects and to apply theoretical learning in the real world. Next, with much pride, I'd like to introduce Mr. Nikhil Indrasenan, our alumnus from 96-98 batch. Mr. Nikhil is the business head RPO Solutions, Intel International, India. He is experienced in market development and delivery of talent acquisition solutions for small and medium enterprises and Forbes 2000 enterprises. He has over 18 years of experience in HR services across multiple roles with global service providers. He is fascinated with human behavior and health.
You're on mute, Nikhil. You're on mute.
Thank you, Sai Kirtana, for that introduction. Good evening, everybody. Best wishes on Independence Day, and hope all of you are safe and well. Trying times indeed. Thank you, Shabina, for this opportunity to spend some time on this platform. As always, enterprising enough. You drive this whole, what should we say, this whole journey with MIMS, and keep going. I've been asked to talk about a specific area related to the work I've been doing. I've been in the human resources side of the business. I re-emphasize business of human resources, not the function of human resources, and they are two very different, diametrically different worlds, so to say. My area of focus has been recruitment. A lot of that recruitment has been with management graduates, as well as technology professionals and a lot of other skill sets as well. Not much has changed. I think you can see that from the age of the panelists. Shabira keeps calling. We are not getting any younger, but we keep sharing. We keep sharing our perspective to the young blood out there, and I'm sure soon it'll be a generation apart. But some things don't change. Okay, some things don't change, and I think that is what the essence of what I'd like to talk about is. Um, the journey on which MIMS is going through is indeed transformational. From the days in which I was a student of that great institution, what they're attempting today is an eye-opener in itself. I wish I could go back. I wish I could go back 20, 25 years, but life is a one-way ticket. You can only keep going forward. And you need to make best use of what it is that you're passing by, because you may not get a second chance. Having worked with a lot of institutes, having worked extensively with corporates, and in the difficult business of talent acquisition, and with the current CV times of CV as I call it, nothing is any easier. And it's not going to get any easier for anybody as well. Whether it's the job market, whether it's opportunities, whether it's becoming successful, everything is going to get tougher. And how is it that we're going to differentiate ourselves, stand out, make a mark? Times like this give us that opportunity to make that change. And I think this transformational journey that is being attempted, in all sincerity here, will definitely bear fruit. From what I've studied of the 5 pillars of PRIME, there are many aspects of it that overlap. They are not discrete in any way. But since we can't, it's easier to present. It needs to be structured when we present, but it's all one medium. And having worked extensively with MBA graduates, as well as I said, with corporates, what are the things that the earlier curriculum missed, which I believe the current curriculum will attempt to fill successfully? And the gap, between the gap or into the gap, I think that is what PRIME is trying to fill in. There is a gap between E and C, education and the corporate world, or work world, or job world, or employable world, whatever you'd like to call it, simply because you couldn't see it. Students couldn't see it, right? For some, it was a dark world. For some, there were some estimations. For some, there was some perceptions. But institutions were finding it difficult to bring the job world to the classroom. There was a lot of theory being studied. There was a lot of projects being done. There were a lot of assignments being done, a lot of hours being put in. But that wasn't just enough for most of the students. Because when you go out in the job market, it's a totally different setup. When we come to the early institutes, everything was set. Class was set, institute was set, faculty was set, schedule was set, syllabus was set, textbook was set, assignments were set, marks were set. There is absolutely nothing much a student actually ended up doing other than doing what was told of him or her. And that itself didn't happen most of the times, including myself. I think with PRIME is an eye-opener to students. PRIME is an eye-opener to education institutions as well, in saying, listen, this is what the product that you're making or manufacturing, it needs to meet certain standards. It needs to meet certain expectations. And I think PRIME is the right direction to go that way. My particular topic on expertise, life skills, power skills, whatever you'd like to call it, I just like to leave a few points. You can't be everything to everybody. You can't specialize in everything and be a specialist in everything. You can be an all-rounded professional, but you need to have some differentiating factors. And I think the 5th pillar, like just as much as the other 4 pillars of PRIME, is attempting to sharpen specific abilities in students, surfacing those abilities and getting them into a better product. Many times we've seen students get mixed up as to what they are standing for. What is it that I bring to the table? The degree, like we were talking earlier, the degree is just an eligibility. It's like getting married, it just makes you eligible. It doesn't qualify you. It doesn't select you. It doesn't mean automatic entry. It means come to the job world, you are eligible to work. You are not selected, or you are not guaranteed anything. So it is just one stage of the journey. And I think with PRIME, this Industry Institute Connect, the II Connect, will help students understand better what is it that employers look for. There's lots that we can talk about, and I don't want to spend too much time there. I want to be very specific in terms of what an MBA graduate is expected to carry with him or herself when he goes to the corporate world. All of you can read. These are times of VUCA, V-U-C-A. You all will know what VUCA is. Volatility and etc. etc. And it gets even worse with our new friend Corona that's come around. Corona is going to add a lot of complexity to the world. Complexity in the form of remote working, remote management, remote communication, less face-to-face interaction. We talked about earlier about software. This platform on which we're in, which I assume is a Zoom platform. I mean, were it not for this platform, probably we wouldn't be having this session. It's possible. Maybe we'll be on some other platform, but that also has software. So software has impacted every part of our life, at home, at work, in between home and work, in your vehicles, in your bikes, software is everywhere. So there is no running away from the fact that this wave, whatever wave is around us, good and bad, is there to touch us all. There's no running away from it. And I think Prime is going to make students and, of course, the institute stronger, shaping better products out of it. Being able to get students and industry products better shaped to work in a world which is ambiguous, uncertain, unpredictable, volatile. I mean, tell me what is predictable? There's almost nothing that's predictable today. The weather, the environment, the economy, we just have to be better prepared. And I think Prime is going to make students better prepared with what they're attempting. It's the first steps. Obviously, there will be more shaping that will take place, but there is nothing like in the Institute and Industry Connect that's being attempted here. And I know the journey through which MIMS has been trying this, and I think it's a huge step. And credit to the Institute, of course, for this, what should we say, unwavering approach to getting their students out there. It's a very competitive world, even in institutes. And what MIMS is trying to do here, I think it stands out. I didn't expect it, to be honest. I'm being quite honest here. I didn't expect this platform to take place. I didn't expect the eminent people on this platform to come and share on this. And I think it's a great opportunity for everyone involved and a responsibility for students, alumni of the institute to put back what we took out of it. And I think that is a call to alumni out there as well. A lot of things need to come together. It's like cooking a meal. You miss one thing and then the dish is out. Okay, so a lot of things need to come together. It may not be perfect, but there are some things that you can't miss out. And I think what we're trying to do here is trying to bring all the ingredients together. They will get better. We will cook Prime differently. We will build it in a different manner. We will shape it differently, and we'll be able to get a better product out of the institute. I'm very sure of that. I'm very confident of that. I have recently met some students, and they are standout. They stand out from the times in which I was there, for sure. Distinctly different, distinctly superior, and I think with Prime, even more so will take place. Just one message to students out there. I think at the beginning, the first discussion we had, we talked about, there was a keyword, curiosity. I think some of the keywords that were spoken about earlier, research, curiosity, analytics, data. There's a lot of data that we need to deal with. But the quality of data is also extremely important. The quality of data that you're going to be producing as graduates is also going to be extremely important. The quality of data that the institute is working on needs to be extremely important. And I think the inputs, hopefully the platform that we're creating here, the data inputs and the quality of the data that's going to this mix will create a better product in my view. In the missing links earlier were working with the industry that is being filled here. What is happening out there, we had no idea. During those days, we had no idea. It was up to each individual, and I think the key word there is initiative. If students take the initiative, you can find out. An institute can't spoon feed every aspect of your success. It can show you the way, it can prepare you as best as possible, but only you can present yourself. The institute cannot present you. Nobody can present you. You have to present yourself. And what are you going to do about that? Well, that's a question each one of us has to answer. We have to present ourselves every day, be it at home, to convince our spouses or whoever else, for instance, or at work, or with our employees. We're always trying to convince someone, give them confidence, inspire them. It's an unending journey. There's a lot more to talk about. I'm sure we'll have a lot more platforms to share. So let's not get it all out today. So I have a lot to share and talk about, but if I keep back some, then I will have more to give later. So that's what I want to say at this point in time. I'd be happy to take a couple of questions if there are any. And if there's anything else, Shabina, that you'd like me to add about, I'd be happy to do that in the limited time we have. Shabina?
Excuse me, sir, there is audio.
Unmute, Shabina ma'am, unmute.
The questions can be from anyone. Before we proceed to the next panelist.
I think maybe because of lack of time or the fact that there's a lot more to cover, we can probably pile up the questions and do it at later or something.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Nikhil, I just want you to comment on the type of transformation you are seeing in MIM. Since you're associated with MIM, since the day you graduated from MIM in the year 1998, since then, in some form or the other, you're contributing to the institute. And I would like you to comment on the transformation you see in MIM from then and today.
I'll be honest in what I say. An institute like MIM, I thought would be content with the background it has and the position it has in the market. But I see there is a hunger, there is a thirst, and I think a large part of that, Shabina, is thanks to you. If I were to tell all of you how much Shabina harasses some of us to contribute to the institute, you will all laugh. Okay, yeah, the amount of persistence that she has, the institute is lucky. The institute is definitely lucky. I think it is these small little things that what should we say, the confidence that members, individuals bring to the board, individuals bring to the institute to make a change. And I think it's important to have a connectivity. Frequent changes disconnect a connectivity. It is important for some stability to help build anything. Nothing can be done overnight. We can talk magic and all that stuff, but nothing is going to happen. And I think, Shabina, to answer your question as to what I'm seeing, one from mere facilities of the institute. The last time I visited, I wished I was born again. I wished I was born again, that I could go back to this institute and enjoy what students today are doing. We didn't have those facilities. Facilities I'm talking about first. And what does facilities mean? I think it is an approach by the management that students need to be given the right environment, the right ambience, relevant to today, so that they feel as close as possible to the future. And I think facilities is one thing that I see has remarkably changed. More than just that, I see a lot of industry institute connect taking place. I see a lot of sessions that are happening, which we missed, to be honest, in those days. We didn't have as much interaction. We never had these platforms and all the Zoom, Boom, Zoom and all came only now. There was nothing in those days. Even Google, here everything you do, you check on Google and Swiggy and Zomato. We didn't have those in those days. And I'm sure many of you at my age will agree. So I think the institute is bringing the world of work closer to the institute so that students can see, oh, this is what I need to enter into. It was blind those days. We had half an eye or almost no eye as to what it was, unless we took our own initiative to find out who's hiring, what are the sectors that are booming, what is the interview process, what tests are being given, how do they select candidates, what should I do, what should I not do, what are they expecting in interview. Those are things that we had to do on our own. Coming back to a key word in the earlier session of research, that curiosity, the moment you lose that curiosity, you are finished. The moment you lose that quotient of curiosity, you are finished, because you have stopped absorbing, you have stopped learning, you have stopped developing. The moment curiosity goes, your relevance will start slowly going as well. So I think relevance is another point that the institute is trying to do for their students, and it is dynamically expecting alumni, the corporate world, and of course, the eminent specialists to put in all they can so that the candidates can become better. Shabina?
I just had a couple of, I mean, I would like to probably underscore a couple of points over what he said because it caught my ear, so to speak, and I will mostly corroborate what he's saying because I think the percentage of uptake, I mean, he's a professional recruiter, he'd probably be able to substantiate these numbers as well. But you will be surprised at least on the engineering side in today in India, your recruitment conversion percentage, I mean, it's dropping by the year. Today, just last month, we've interviewed not less than about 1,200 people to just get to 2 guys. I'm sure Nikhil will be able to corroborate that. So I like what he said also about, and it's an important point, and it has some bearing on what we're calling this framework also, is, graduation gives you eligibility, period. I mean, there's no guarantee.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
That's very important because I think, and what a college can give you is really prime you for it, prime you for the job. Earlier, the degree could largely even guarantee your job. I think that kind of guarantee is gone today. So, what the industry can do at best is to prime you for a job. And I think we were pretty conscious. I think it's sort of a stroke of luck as well. But then the framework being called prime seemed to be so apt because, what an institution can really do is to prime you for the world. You have to develop an attitude as well, and definitely it's not a guarantee. So I just wanted to underscore that and the relevance of why we are calling this prime as well in a very poetic way.
Okay.
Thanks, thanks, Nikhil. Thanks, Siddharth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, please excuse me. I have another commitment to meet as well. So if you will excuse me, I'll be happy to rejoin at another time or on another platform on another session. If there's any question that you'd like me to take now, otherwise
I have something to say, Nikhil. I'm Ilyas Seth here.
Yes, Ilyas.
Finance director of the institute. Yeah.
Yes,
okay. Yeah. What I would like to add to what you have said. Okay. You did in '98. Now we are in 2020. Okay. Right. Now, as the management today, the very objective is that we should make the institute one of the best based schools in Chennai, in Tamil Nadu, in the country. That's our objective, and that's not going to be easy. Or each of these things are not going to be easy. Towards that, we have done a lot of work, of course, in the last 2 years, and then we are going to do more, both on infrastructure and importantly on academics, then on infrastructure. And then we really want to, the whole idea is to make those MBAs who go out of the NIAS Institute of Management really capable of taking up the world, okay? Whether it be in a profession, or whether it be a job, or even if they start their own business and all that, they have to be up to it, okay? So that's our goal. And towards achieving that goal, we'll do everything possible to see that whoever comes into MIM, that they are given that task and they come out fully prepared to take up the world, because there are a lot of opportunities in this world and they should be fully equipped to take it up. So with that in mind, we are doing everything possible, and inshallah, you'll surely see in the next year or two many more developments in MIM in terms of infrastructure, in terms of academics, in terms of methods of teaching, in terms of interconnect with the industry. All these, each area is being addressed in a very focused manner, and this is definitely bound to take MIM to greater heights. And the students who come to MIM, I'm sure when they go out, they said, we're very proud to have come to the institute. Yeah, that's our target. That's the goal.
I'm sure all this hard labor will bear fruit. I'm confident of that, and I inshallah pray that it.
We lost you there. We lost the sound for a while.
We lost you for some time.
Myself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I was just responding to sir that I'm sure all the labor will have fruit sooner than later, and our expectations are also high on that front. And whatever we can do, we should do as a community to keep that flag flying higher. And whatever I can do, I will do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Sajid bhai, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Shabina ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Maybe can we have one of our students, come and explain what we do in participatory learning? Probably Joy can do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Joy or Ashwini, who? Joy?
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
So, very good afternoon and a great happy Independence Day to all. I'm Joy Infant Paula V, and I'm student and also a Prime Ambassador of MIM. I would like to share my views and experiences on participatory learning I had with MIM. So, participatory learning is actually a peer-based learning, and it's an excellent method for motivating the learners to learn more. So here at MIM, this amazing initiation called PRIME has helped us learn a lot and knew more about the corporate culture. So it has this PRIME has a number of teams, and students can join any team as per their interest. And also we have our team leads to guide us, just like how an exact corporate people work. So yeah, advertising and promotion is one of those teams, and I belong to that team. So I joined this team out of my own interest, because I find it's very interesting and fast-paced team to work with. And it also helped me to hone my advertising skills. I actually was searching for a right platform to learn, to explore my advertising skills. And it really helped me a lot. It did serve the purpose and kept me engaged with the social media audience. And we learned a lot about the content creation, web updation, and also the social media marketing. So I strongly believe that Prime provides us with the real-time situation to face the corporate world and helps us in getting corporate ready before we graduate. So we are really excited to be a part of this Prime, and thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity to share my views and my experiences with
Thanks,
Prime.
Joy. Ashwini, maybe you can speak about the other teams as well.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so good afternoon all. I'm Ashwini, the Prime Ambassador of MIM. So to tell about participatory learning, my college has given me all the opportunities to build our skills through practical learning. At each and every step, they push us to take up the right things in hand and make us learn valuable things. From Microsoft Office to conducting events like CXO talks, webinars, workshop, everything was participatory with hands-on experience in the e-learning team which I worked with. And I also worked with the newsletter team, where we are planning to release a monthly newsletter on what knowledge does MIM provide to the students every month. The work that I was working on in all such ways, only learning by doing. So, and as Siddharth sir told us, analytics is going to bloom in years to come. Even this was taken up by MIM, where we had a data analytics course in which we learned to interpret data using Tableau. So I would say that participatory learning is what MIM-PRIME is all about. Thank you for giving me an opportunity here.
Thank you, Ashwini.
Yes, Sai Kirtana, please.
Thank you, Mr. Nikhil, for beautifully presenting the importance of Industry Connect in management education. And thank you, Joy and Ashwini, for sharing your experiences in Prime. Our pedagogy includes a mentoring program, which provides each student with an experienced and steadying mentor for rapid transition from academia to a challenging but exciting world outside. The mentors provide necessary advice and counseling to enable mentees secure suitable internships, research projects, and guide them in formulating their career paths. Moving right along, I take pleasure in introducing Mr. Sainath. Mr. Sainath is an engineer from VNIT. He co-founded Progression Brainery in 2018 based on his passion to help students and budding professionals transform themselves and live fulfilling and satisfying lives. He has 30 plus years of diverse experience in business development, project and program management, consulting, coaching, mentoring, training, and facilitation. I request Mr. Sainath to present the element M of a prime pedagogy, which represents mentorship and guidance.
Thank you, Sai Kirtana, for making this introduction. Good evening, everybody. So the previous presenters talked a little bit or a lot about the various aspects of the pedagogy, and they focused on Industry 4.0 as being the biggest challenge that faces students and professionals now. So while trying to explain what mentoring is and how is mentoring done and why is it important for the students entering into MIM, I just thought, let me go back about 4,000 years and then give you a little bit of a inkling about what mentoring is. I'll tell you a little story now. So all of you must have heard about Homer and the two important legends that he wrote. One was called the Iliad, the other was called the Odyssey. And you might have also seen some of the movies which have come out, which is based upon these two legends. So one of the characters in Homer's Iliad and Odyssey is a king called Odysseus. And he had a young son who was probably about 8 or 10 years old when he started the journey for going and fighting a war. And he knew that this war is going to last a long time. And by the time he comes back, his son would have grown up and without the support of his father and the guidance and the advice that the father would have provided in order to help him to develop to become a king. So he said that, I can't just leave him here and then go. And so he appointed another person whom he trusted to take care of his son while he was away. And what had happened was that this war and his journey back from the war took place over 20 years. So by the time he came, his son was about 30 or so. In the meanwhile, this person whom he had appointed helped his son in order to develop himself in two areas. So one, what he did was helped him to gain the knowledge necessary for him to be able to understand what it means to be a king. The second area that he helped him to develop was to develop the skills that is required for him to be a king. Okay, so there were two aspects to what he did for this individual. And while doing so, he was more like an advisor. He was more like a counselor, a guide, rather than a teacher for him. He was somebody that this small child could trust and believe. And he could guide him through his own experience of having grown up to become a king himself. Right? So by the time Odysseus came back, what he found was this young boy whom he had left, who didn't know anything about what to do to become a king, had actually graduated and become a very, mature individual who was capable of ruling his country in a successful way. So the name of this character who did this transformation for this young boy was mentor. Right? So that is the backdrop to the word mentor. So a mentor is a trusted guide, somebody who helps a younger person understand what it means to thrive and grow and be successful in an unforgiving world. Right? So the children who are coming to the Miyasi Institute of Management have already undergone about 16 years of academic education, right? And probably this is the last step before they transition into the wide world. And like my previous presenter spoke about, the world outside is extremely complex. And it's very complicating too, right? And the students who are entering into this college have no concept or a conceptualization of what this world outside is. They just are only focused on their curriculum in terms of going through classes and so forth. So what they need is somebody who can give them a good sense of what the outside world is, who can help them guide them through the process of transitioning from an academic environment into either a corporate environment or into a business environment, to identify what they need to be doing, what skills do they have today, what capabilities do they have now, what potential do they have now, and how do they mold this potential in order to develop themselves and achieve their potential. So that is what a mentor does in the Miyasi Institute of Management. They sit with them and help them to develop what we call a personal development plan, or a PDP, as it is called in short. So we look in terms of sitting down with each student. So a faculty member has about 10 students whom they mentor, right? And they spend a lot of time over the next 24 months, from the day you join till the day you exit the college. The faculty mentor spends time with their 10 mentees, as we call them. So they help them to develop what is called as a personal development plan, where the mentee identifies for himself or for herself what they want to achieve by doing this course. Where do they want to go, right? And in order to achieve that, what knowledge and what skills do they need to have? And if there are gaps, help them to identify how do they go about filling those gaps. Help them to identify programs that they need to attend to fill those skill gaps, right? And guide them through the whole process of developing themselves while they're here, so that they make the transition from being a student to being a corporate citizen or to becoming a business person in a smooth and seamless way. So that is what the mentoring program in Miyasi does. It's been there for quite some time now. So we did a rethink and we relaunched this program over this holidays that happened just now. So we reframed the concept of mentoring itself, and we said that in order to integrate well within the PRIME pedagogy and be able to help the students achieve their objectives. So we called it IMPACT. So IMPACT is the mentoring program that has been relaunched here in the Miyasi Institute of Management. Each faculty person will have about 10 students whom they will be mentors for. And they'll help them in order to make the transition effectively from being students to becoming, as I said, corporate citizens or to become business people. Okay, so that's the mentoring program that is part of the pedagogy. It's very well and seamlessly integrated into the overall PRIME framework. So including, what we talked about, participatory learning, including research intelligence, the industry connect, and talking about expertise in the power skills that a student needs to develop in order to be corporate ready or business ready. Okay, so I'd like to take some questions if there are any right now, any inputs that anybody would seek at this point in time. All right. So I would just hand the podium back to Sai Kirtana so that she can transition over to the next person to speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sainath, for highlighting the importance of mentoring and guidance for the right direction in students' life. Any individual who wishes to pursue successful entrepreneurship or a corporate career should necessarily possess quintessential expertise, namely leadership, effective communication, critical thinking, creativity, and collaborative teamwork. Under the program, a team of best in college corporate trainers takes the students through a series of interventions in the form of exercises and workshops to assist the students in enhancing and developing the above mentioned skills. Next, I take pleasure in introducing Mr. Srijit Nair. Mr. Srijit Nair is the head of talent, learning and organizational development, Aditya Birla Capital. He is a strategic and tactical learning and development professional. With over 17 years of experience and success in program management, training program development, instructional design, and organizational development. He is also a former colleague of Dr. Farath, who worked together in Aditya Birla Group. I now request Mr. Srijit Nair to present the element E of a PRIME pedagogy, which represents the expertise and power skills.
Okay, thank you, Sai Ketana, for that wonderful introduction. And Thanks, my good friend Farhad, for inviting me for this, awesome session. I was quietly observing. It's been quite some time. I like what Nikhil and Ganesh and even Siddharth spoke. It's been quite some time that we are out of education and these kind of setup. From yesterday evening around say 7 o'clock is when Farhad called me up and they said there's a session like this, and I also spoke to Mr. Sajid. I was very, very, excited the moment Farhad and Sajid spoke about this, and more importantly because it just coincided with certain things which were happening in my organization. So let me kind of give you a background of the the organization I represent, so that will have a lot of connect with what I'll be talking to you about. So I'm a part of Aditya Birla Group. I'm sure all of you will be knowing, and this is a group which has about 34 odd businesses. Businesses like Siemens, Ultratech Siemens, and Pantaloon, and you would have heard Pantaloon. More is no more right now, but more supermarkets and fibers, and So a part of that is Aditya Birla Capital. Now Aditya Birla Capital has 13 businesses, within that, which businesses like mutual funds, life insurance, and business like lending, and we have brokerage. So all these businesses put together, we're calling it as Aditya Birla Capital. I'm sure you would have heard about Bajaj Finance and Tata Capital and things. So we are pretty much similar to that. We have about 18,000 employees, and we cater to the financial segments. People who have a need for investing and insuring, and so safety and protection is what we call the need as. So I manage, a part of HR. I manage business recruitment, business HR, and learning and development and organization development as well as engagement also. So it's been about a good 22 years behind me right now in working in these areas. So that's exactly when Farhad called me up. I was in the middle of a discussion with my group CEO, Mr. Rajesh Srinivasan. Industry experts would be knowing. So this gentleman has called us for a quick meeting, and his need was basically to create a group of 100 talent, right, who will be able to steer Aditya Birla Group to the next level. When I say Aditya Birla Group, more importantly, the capital, right? So people who have these 100 people, how do we kind of identify them? Now, once we identify them, what are the skill sets that these guys should have? This skill set. So this is what he has given us a mandate, and we were actually working on that. And quite coincidentally, I'm sure people who are reading newspapers, and especially Economic Times, a couple of days back, NASSCOM chairman, Mr. Praveen Rao, has written a beautiful article, and he says shelf life of skills are getting down by 2 years. I mean, a lot of people spoke about it. Any skills that we used to possess about 5 years, 10 years before are redundant right now. No more. It's gone. And the skills that we have right now, what we have learned, and this is going to be redundant in the next 2 years. And interestingly, I'm sure likes of Ganesh and Sainath would agree with me. There are about 5,000 odd jobs which are going to be created in another 5 years. I repeat, 5,000 job roles are going to be created in about 5 years. But then none of them, I mean, all those roles don't have skills as on today.
Perfect.
So that's something that all of us should be aware of. 5,000 jobs, but no skills right now if you have to perform the jobs, which means that skills are evolving. So one of those important part that we need to be understanding. So in my role, what we do is when we interact with the new kids who come into the organization, because I manage learning and development also in my portfolio, where a new set of kids, and I deal with institutions like the likes of IIMs and ISBs. People come for as interns, and also we have campus. We select people, a group of people join. I guess it was Nikhil who said there's a huge gap between the E and the C, right? Because when I see some institutes are very good in their theory knowledge, awesome, but when they come to the organization, corporate culture, a wild west, we call it as, it's not a great place. Let me tell you what, it's going to be chaos. people seriously, I see people, lacking certain talent and, to take up the job and perform right from the word go. So that's when Farhat was talking to me about the concept of Prime, and I was excited right from the word, because what you guys are doing is you're just actually preparing people for the wild, right? You're preparing through your through this Prime concept. So I was very, very excited about this, and I was observing what each of the presenters were talking about, how they are preparing, and things. So I think you guys are on a right track. This institution, I'm sure, looking forward for a closer association, and then knowing about how the students are performing, and in corporates. So I'm more than happy to share my experiences. One of the most important skills that students should keep in mind is dealing with ambiguity, right? The world out there is not process driven. You don't have a certain process which is already there and we need to follow. Every day there are new things which we need to deal with. So one of those important part is dealing with ambiguity, and this setup of Prime, I was given to understand is to create that, and you will be getting those exposure dealing with ambiguity, dealing with complexities, because things are not that easy. It just goes in a second, things get changed. So your learning agility, how quickly you're learning. I heard Siddharth talking about it, and Ganesh talking about it. How quickly you're able to learn is the most important part in your in world outside. So pretty much about it. Looking forward, I wish all you guys a wonderful career ahead and learning journey ahead, and I wish Prime and this institution all the very best. And do let me know if I could be of any help to all of you in preparing your people there and skilling them. So Farhat and team, all the best to you, my friend. I'm sure with your able guidance and people like leaders like Sajid, you guys are going to rock.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Srijit.
It means a lot. Yeah, and
we'd like to have your let's say I would say patronage and guidance, throughout as well.
It is taken, Sajid Bhai. It is done.
Actually, I have something to what Srijit said. It sparked off something, and I just thought I'd share it here. He spoke about the need again, so I touched upon the need for creativity, and I can't sort of overemphasize this. I'll also tell you something about what we are seeing. Automation. If it can be described by a process, it can be automated. So, being in an engineering firm, I can't tell you the potential, the scary potential of AI and ML. We see this every day. So, and it's there everywhere. I'm sure Srijit can also tell you how, it's AI is impacting HR as well. The kind of it can do, and his problem, for example, I'm assuming Srijit on a day-to-day basis, how do I process 10,000 applications coming in every day? Trust me, more often than not, there's an AI behind the job. It's probably processing. The reason I say this is that, I think automation is already prevalent. And if you're a graduate today, you have to display a problem-solving ability that the AI can't. You're not just up against, let's say, how do I put this? Physical workers, but digital workers as well. So we actually call them digital workers, and the cognitive abilities of these digital workers are getting bigger and bigger by the day across domains. I'm saying, if any of you have used a chatbot in a website, for example, you can be sure today that there is not a BPO behind it, or there's no person behind it, but almost 80% of it is handled by a bot. So, and education, for example, is being impacted by bot. Even recruiting and testing, for example, is handled by a bot. So, as a person who wants to get into the job market today, I think it's important that you also focus on problem solving per se, because that's going to be the need of the hour. If you're looking at, some work that can be defined for you, and I think we are really focused on that in this framework, pedagogy framework, because I think the point is to equip you with problem solving skills and not necessarily train you for a very well-defined job, because those things are not going to exist very soon, like Srijit is obliquely referring to.
So, Siddharth, if I could add upon what you're saying, the students are not up against, the competition is not among themselves. The competition, as you said, is actually with bots and the robots, right? And one thing which actually differentiates them is the thinking ability. How can you problem solving, as Siddharth rightly mentioned, that's one of the biggest ability that we can differentiate ourselves from, robots, maybe artificial intelligence.
Correct.
So you rightly mentioned that, Siddharth. One of the important part is problem solving, and that's exactly what we also looking in the organization. Not many of them are having. Even right now in the when I manage talent, and we need people to take up certain roles and then start leading. But problem solving ability is far less. Result orientation, problem solving, that should need to be developed.
Actually, design thinking, actually, Srijit, I'm sure you'll agree that, problem solving in the Indian context is probably most people think of it as some math problem solving, so that is one way to say, that's not what we are talking about here, I think, because I think you're doing whiteboarding and design thinking are also problem solving skills. And I think, we probably need to take that, into consideration as well when we're discussing the framework. And I'm sure the practitioners here will agree the importance of something like that.
So Siddharth, what we're doing in participatory learning is exactly that. We have actual, let's say, a business environment. We have the different teams that we have. Start with research and intelligence. We have a branding team who takes care of the branding of the institute. We have an advertising promotion team, like we said. We have an e-learning team which creates the content. So we conduct webinars and all that, which could be a paid webinar also at times. So which means there's an income which is generated, right? And so there's a team which does the budgeting and everything. So like a finance team which does the budgeting for all these events and so on.
Oh, that's
and we also have, believe it or not, an HR team, meaning so the students who participate in it, there is a team which looks at the manpower that we have within the institution, be it the faculty as the students, and to place them in different teams and manage it. So
that's very unique, Sajid. I don't think I've heard of something like this, elsewhere.
Yeah, so that is participating. It's like you say, during their course, during their education itself, they get to learn this problem solving, like you say, because they face problems. There are like problems within the team, for example. The problem, let's say, with the let's say between the teams as well. And how it gets sorted out naturally. Like,
oh, brilliant! I mean, that's
skills also along the way.
I think it will give students a certain level of maturity, because I think because they have to start performing.
By the time they leave the institute, they already worked in a let's say in a corporate environment for 2 years.
2 years, exactly.
One more thing which Sajid, if you could allow, maybe in a minute, I would want to cover would be, students actually they should have digital presence. When I talk about digital presence, how I can see many of them. You see, this is a world where which we didn't have for ourselves. And like was Ganesh or Siddharth was talking about it a little while back. I'm sorry, it was Nikhil was telling. We didn't have Google, we didn't have YouTube at that time, right? But now, at just a click of a button, you have a mobile and you have a lot of means. So you should be there in a social media when you talk about it and share your ideas. People, the world should know your ideas. That's the best way to connect. Maybe I'm sure that there is something you all would have thought about it. Do you have how many of them would be knowing you in the world, right? Your digital presence. Are you there on Twitter sharing your thoughts? Are you there on your LinkedIn profile sharing your thoughts? How many articles are you writing? For that your corporate should know about you. So somewhere down the line, my one of those important part people are missing out is making use of digital media. Let's move out from the Facebooks and the Instagrams of the world. That's all purely entertainment. But let's try and make use of the means like YouTube and the LinkedIn and the Twitters of the world to share your thoughts and let the people know your skills very clearly. There's a lot of people who are there to help you.
Now we have teams, among the students who are in charge of each of the social media platforms. So they take care of, they generate the content, they post it, so these teams, they take care of it. So it's happening naturally. There's nobody teaching them actually.
Fantastic.
We just sort of give them an environment where they can learn themselves. And so they generate the content, they devise a strategy, and that's how it's happening now.
Sajid, that's very interesting because I think, there is also this growing thing about P2P learning, peer-to-peer learning. I think this framework.
Yeah, there's a lot of peer learning, happening here.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's about time. Anybody has any questions? Otherwise, we can. Is there anything else in the agenda for the way?
I think we can take some questions, and then we can sum it up. I'm getting a lot of feedback, so very insightful. Lot of questions coming in, even on
Yes, any questions from you?
Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes.
You are audible.
Please.
No, that's been a very interesting session. I've been hearing what all the eminent panelists have been saying. But the thing that comes to my mind is that on the one hand, we are talking about how we have to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And somebody else more or less said that he didn't use it, but he meant that you got to boot, reboot, and reinvent. So these two things is what you have to keep doing. You learn on one side, you reboot on the other side, you relearn, you reinvent. Okay, I think that is the way forward. But something comes to my mind, and that is, it's interesting to know what happened 25 years ago and how we are now. But I remember that before the chairman of ITC, Mr. Aksar, he found that he was not getting professionals. They were not able to get into other fields other than cigarettes. And to make it short, so he found it very difficult to do that. So he actually, after consulting many people, he started an institute within ITC, and where he had classes for his managers in order to make them entrepreneurs. And he was able to successfully do that. And he called those set of people as pro-neurial managers, who are professional entrepreneurs, that is from where you find that all the FMCG business that is now happening there, all the diversification that took place in ITC was as a result of that initiative to create the pro-neurial managers in the late 70s. Now, he was innovative in what he could do because that was not available in the market. What comes to my mind here is that in what we want to do, I think that this team that is now there, like Sajid and Ilyas and others, everybody who's there, are now really looking at, they have a vision as to what we should be 10, 15 years ahead. And you more or less want to revolutionize this field, not just look 1 year ahead. I don't know if we can look 15 years ahead in today's world. I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. But I do know that I've been hearing, because of what's happened over the last 4 or 5 months, that the concept of teaching, concept of education itself has changed. I run a little school, and where we have 1,000 students in the CBSE school. And we went into online teaching and all of that. But we are looking at a program where it is borderless teaching. We foresee that there won't be any classrooms. We foresee that teachers are not going to be coming to class and teaching in a class. You may be coming to, they may be going to a place where there is a screen, but then you have your students from all over the world. You have your teachers from all over the world. You have experience from all over the world. That's the way it is changing. It is so dynamic. So if we want to look ahead, I think that it's not only for job oriented, not only for professional, entrepreneurs, but you've got many other things that you have to do. So I think that we also need to look at those type of situations, those things that we can do, really radical change. I was looking for that in today's thing to say if somebody is going to talk anything about that as well. Very, very good experiences, Ken. I was very happy to hear all that from Mr. Siddharth, from Mr. Srijit, and everyone. It was very interesting what Birla was doing, others were doing, each one did this. That if we can, I don't know if this is possible, but I thought that this is what Miyasi wants to do. This is what you want to do, Saj.
Absolutely, Jazbhai. This morning I heard someone say this very interesting saying, don't let schooling interfere with education.
Yeah.
Meaning clearly saying that schooling is very different from education. Schooling is where you gain knowledge, but education is something which, let's say, teaches you how to learn. So that's I think this is very relevant today because, like you say, you're talking about 15 years ahead. I think, Srijit just mentioned 2 years from now, what we are teaching now may not be relevant.
It become obsolete.
So there's no point, let's say, teaching, imparting just knowledge. I think you have to sort of train our students to learn by themselves, rather like face problems or rather like look at problems and learn problem solving skills rather than just gaining knowledge. Yeah, I think that's, I hope we are going in the right direction.
We have some closing remarks from Vijay's way.
Yeah. Sajid? Now, Sajid, can I?
Yes.
Sajid, can I? Sajid.
I'm just please intervene. Yeah.
Aslam.
Yes.
Aslam, sorry, yeah.
I told,
Sorry, you're not.
We heard from all the speakers about outside of our institution. The outside world is full of uncertainty, strong to face these uncertainties.
Absolutely.
How do we prepare them?
By taking them, when they go through a series of, let's say, problems they face while they do these activities. You can't have a solution for everything, right? But if you teach them how to solve problems, then if they encounter a new problem, they'll know how to approach it. So there's no way you can teach them everything.
It's a template that probably will be provided, right? So once they solve a problem and then their brain gets tuned to it, and it'll be easy for them to solve the forthcoming problems as well. Yeah.
It's like chess, Aslam. It's like chess. For example, you never have the same situation again, right? You can't teach someone to, let's say, you can only train somebody to play chess. You can't teach them to play chess.
Okay. So they have
each move you have a different situation. But if they are like tuned to, let's say, handling similar situations, they'll learn by themselves.
They learn by their own experiences.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sajid.
Thank you very much.
I think one closing remark from our FD Saab. I think we'll close this.
Yeah. Is he there? Ilyas bhai? Or Ilyas bhai, if you can conclude. Yeah. Ilyas bhai, can we have closing remarks from you? You unmute yourself one second. You need to unmute.
I was saying, what can I say? Because the panelists were really amazing in their what they have said, and what Imtiaz also finally said was also an eye opener. So, what I would perhaps say is, we used to say a few years back that the world is reduced to a chip. Now, I think the whole world is going to end up in a classroom, as it looks like. So, and a classroom from home or office, offices are going to go out, schools are going to go out, but all of them. So the method of teaching is definitely going to undergo a massive change in the future. There's no doubt about it, and it is for the good. It's for the good, and new innovation is so fast nowadays. You know, as Srijit said, what was there yesterday will not be valid day after tomorrow. Okay, so so we have to keep pace with it, and of course the whole idea what we have done in the last 2 years is to see that the Institute of Management keeps pace, not really keeps pace with this development, but we are also ahead of it. This is our target, this is our goal. And I'm sure that the team that we have in the NIAS Institute of Management, both internal and external, I think will deliver those goals in that manner. And we will be looking ahead. We'll be a step ahead of others. That's our target, and we'll surely do that, inshallah. Imtiaz, you had to say something? Yeah.
Yes. I just want to say that the very fact that Ilyas and his team, Sajid and others, are able to get to this level of discussion on what we are doing and what we want to do, and addressing these issues so seriously, passionately, and want to do itself is a fantastic initiative.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we definitely need the help of people like Srijit and then Ganesh and of course Nikhil and Siddharth and all these people. And my only appeal to all of them is to be totally involved with us in our goal, in our task. This is my request, appeal to them, and I'm sure that we will also be interacting with them very closely. So thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Sai Kirtana, yes, I think we are done for the day.